Hello and welcome to this read aloud of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Today we'll be reading the first part of Chapter 12. This is just another really long chapter, so I've decided to break it into two parts. Okay, let's begin. Chapter 12, The Search for the Wicked Witch. The soldier with the green whiskers led them through the streets of the Emerald City until they reached the room where the guardian of the gates lived. This officer unlocked their spectacles to put them back in his great box, and then he politely opened the gate for our friends. "Which road leads to the Wicked Witch of the West?" asked Dorothy. "There is no road," answered the guardian of the gates. "No one ever wishes to go that way." "Well, how then are we to find her?" inquired the girl. "That'll be easy," replied the man, "for when she knows that you are in the country of the Winkies, she'll find you. She'll make you all her slaves." "Oh, perhaps not," said the Scarecrow, "for we mean to destroy her." "Oh, that's different. No one has ever destroyed her before, so I naturally thought that she would make slaves of you, as she has all the rest. But take care, for she is wicked and fierce, and may not allow you to destroy her. Keep to the west and where the sun sets, and you can't fail to find her." They thanked him and bade him goodbye, and turned towards the west, walking over fields of soft grass dotted here and there with daisies and buttercups. Dorothy still wore the pretty silk dress that she had put on in the palace, but now, to her surprise, she found it was no longer green, but pure white. The ribbon around Toto's neck had also lost its green color, and was white as Dorothy's dress. The Emerald City was soon left far behind. As they advanced, the ground became rougher and hillier, for there are no farms nor houses in this country of the West, and the ground was untilled. In the afternoon, the sun shone hot in their faces, for there were no trees to offer them shade, so that before night Dorothy and Toto and the lion were tired. They lay down upon the grass and fell asleep, with the woodman and the Scarecrow keeping watch. Now the Wicked Witch of the West had but one eye, yet that was so powerful as a telescope that she could see everywhere, and so she sat in the door of her castle. She happened to look around, and she saw Dorothy lying asleep, with her friends all about her. They were a long distance off, but the Wicked Witch was angry to find them in her country, so she blew upon a silver whistle that hung around her neck. At once there came running to her from all directions a pack of great wolves. They had long legs and fierce eyes and sharp teeth. "Go to these people," said the witch. "Tear them to pieces." "Are you not going to make them your slaves?" asked the leader of the wolves. "No. One is of tin and one of straw. One is a girl and another a lion. None of them is fit for work, so you may tear them into small pieces." "Very well," said the wolf, and he dashed away at full speed, followed by the others. It was lucky the Scarecrow and the woodman were wide awake and heard the wolves coming. "This is my fight," said the woodman, "so get behind me, and I'll meet them as they come." He seized his axe, which he had made very sharp, and as the leader of the wolves came upon them, the Tin Woodman swung his arm and chopped the wolf's head off from its body. It immediately died. As soon as he could raise his axe, another wolf came up. He also fell under the sharp edge of the Tin Woodman's weapon. There were 40 wolves, and 40 times a wolf was killed, so that at last they all lay dead in a heap before the woodman. Then he put down his axe and sat beside the Scarecrow, who said, "It was a good fight, my friend." They waited until Dorothy awoke the next morning. The little girl was quite frightened when she saw the great pile of shaggy wolves, but the Tin Woodman told her all. She thanked him for saving them and sat down to breakfast, after which they started again upon their journey. Now this same morning, the Wicked Witch came to the door of her castle, and looked out with her one eye that could see afar off. She saw all her wolves lying dead, and the strangers still traveling throughout her country. This made her angrier than before, and she blew her silver whistle twice. Straightway a great flock of wild crows came flying towards her, enough to darken the sky, and the Wicked Witch said to the King Crow, "Fly at once to the strangers, peck out their eyes, and tear them to pieces." The wild crows flew in one great flock toward Dorothy and her companions, and when the little girl saw them coming, she was afraid, but the Scarecrow said, "This is my battle. Lie down beside me, and you won't be harmed." They all lay upon the ground, except the Scarecrow, and he stood up and stretched out his arms. And when the crow saw him, they were frightened, as these birds always are of scarecrows. They didn't dare to come any closer. But the King Crow said, "It's only a stuffed man. I will peck his eyes out." The King Crow flew at the Scarecrow, who caught it by the head and twisted its neck until it died. Then another crow flew at him, and the Scarecrow twisted that neck as well. There were 40 crows, and 40 times the Scarecrow twisted the neck, until at last all were lying dead beside him. Then he called to his companions to rise, and again they went upon their journey. When the Wicked Witch looked out again and saw all her crows lying in a heap, she got into a terrible rage and blew 3 times upon her silver whistle. Forthwith there was heard a great buzzing in the air, and a swarm of black bees came flying towards her. "Go to the strangers and sting them to death," commanded the witch, and the bees turned and flew rapidly until they came to where Dorothy and her friends were walking. But the woodman had seen they were coming, and the Scarecrow decided what to do. "Take out my straw and scatter it over the little girl, and the dog and the lion. The bees can't sting them." That the woodman did, and as Dorothy lay close beside the lion and held Toto in her arms, the straw covered them entirely. The bees came and found no one but the woodman to sting, so they flew at him and broke off all their stingers against the tin without hurting the woodman at all. Bees cannot live without their stingers, and that was the end of the bees. Then Dorothy and the lion got up. The girl helped the Tin Woodman put the straw back into the Scarecrow again until he was as good as ever. They started upon their journey once more. Now the Wicked Witch was so angry when she saw her black bees in little heaps like fine coal that she stamped her foot and tore her hair and gnashed her teeth, and then she called a dozen of her slaves, who were the Winkies, and gave them sharp spears, telling them to go to the strangers and destroy them. Now the Winkies are not a brave people. They have to be told what to do, and so they marched away until they came near Dorothy. Then the lion gave a great roar and sprang toward them, and the poor Winkies were so frightened that they ran back as fast as they could. When they returned to the castle, the Wicked Witch beat them with a strap and sent them back to their work, after which she sat down to think what she should do next. She couldn't understand how all her plans to destroy these strangers had failed, but she was a powerful witch, as well as a wicked one, and she soon made up her mind on how to act. Well, that's where we're going to leave it for today. Come back on Monday. We'll finish up this chapter of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.